Feminism, as both a social movement and a theoretical framework, seeks to address and dismantle systems of power that result in gender-based inequalities. Feminism champions the political, economic, and social equality of all genders, but is largely focused on the historic situations and modern-day issues as they pertain to biological women. While feminism has achieved significant milestones, such as suffrage, access to education, reproductive rights, and legal protection against discrimination, it remains a subject of ongoing debate. This video will outline the primary arguments supporting feminism, and it will engage with the main counter-arguments, highlighting the nuances and tensions that shape contemporary discourse on gender equality.
I can tell we need to talk about things, so I'll let you start. Yes, I'm listening. Oh, I understand that. You need help with what you say? Oh, that's crazy.
At the heart of feminist philosophy is the assertion that all individuals, regardless of gender, should enjoy the same rights, responsibilities, and opportunities. Feminists argue that gender-based discrimination, whether overt or systemic, violates basic principles of justice and human dignity. This includes advocating for equal pay, representation in leadership roles, freedom from violence and harassment, and equitable access to education and healthcare. Feminists argue that many traditional gender roles are not innate or biologically determined, but rather constructed and perpetuated by societal norms. These roles often place women in subordinate positions and restrict their autonomy. For example, the expectation that women should be primary caregivers limits their professional opportunities, while the pressure on men to suppress emotion or dominate financially reinforces the myth of toxic masculinity. Feminism seeks to liberate all genders from these restrictive stereotypes. Coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, intersectionality is a critical feminist concept that examines how different forms of oppression, such as racism, classism, ableism, and homophobia, interact with sexism. Feminists argue that a woman's experience cannot be understood in isolation from other aspects of her identity. Intersectional feminism, therefore, advocates for a broader, more inclusive movement that fosters the increasing opportunities of women of color, LGBTQ individuals, and marginalized communities. Feminists highlight how violence against women, ranging from domestic abuse and sexual assault to systemic legal disadvantages, reflects broader constructs of gender inequality. Feminism calls for legal reform, better enforcement of protective laws, education campaigns, and cultural shifts to address this violence. The Me Too movement, for example, exposed widespread harassment and abuse in various industries, validating long-held concerns about the hidden characteristic of gendered violence. Another central argument of feminism is the need for women's representation in decision-making spaces, including politics, business, science, media, and education. Representation ensures that policies and cultural narratives reflect a diversity of experiences that avoids gender bias. Feminists argue that when women are absent from these spaces, their interests and needs are sometimes ignored and/or misrepresented. Despite its widespread influence, feminism faces various criticisms. These counterarguments come from multiple ideological perspectives, ranging from conservative to the postmodern, and they challenge the premises, goals, and methods of feminist theory and activism. One common counterargument is that feminism is outdated or unnecessary in modern Western societies, where legal equality between the sexes has been largely enshrined. Critics point to female participation in the workforce, domination over liberal education departments, and proportional political representation as evidence that feminism's goals have been met. From this view, continued feminist activism is seen as promoting female superiority rather than equality. Another critique is that feminism fosters a culture of victimhood, wherein women are encouraged to see themselves as oppressed rather than empowered. This argument, often made by critics in the post-feminist or individualist camps, suggests that feminism undermines personal agency by framing challenges in a systemic light rather than a personal one. Some critics argue that feminism has devolved into a militant movement that vilifies men or unfairly attributes blame to them for societal problems. This criticism is particularly prevalent in some men's rights and anti-feminist communities, who argue that men face unique challenges that feminism ignores, such as higher suicide rates, harsher criminal sentencing, and lack of support in family courts. Feminism has also been criticized for historically centering on the experiences of varied, middle-class Western women, thereby excluding or marginalizing the worldly spectrum. Critics from within and outside the movement argue that feminism can become exclusionary and fail to address the complex realities of more marginalized groups at the international level. Feminism is a dynamic and evolving movement that has played a pivotal role in challenging and reshaping societal norms around gender. Its arguments for equality, social justice, and human rights are compelling and have led to significant progress. However, the movement has not grown without criticism. From claims of irrelevance to concerns about misandry or exclusion, feminism must continually strive to admit its faults and engage with its critics in good faith to refine its goals and strategies. The debates surrounding feminism underscore the complexity of gender issues in our modern society. These debates should encourage deeper analysis, broader inclusion, ongoing dialogue, and the avoidance of its more militant tones. Only through such engagement can feminism survive to be the transformative force that it longs to be for a just and equitable world.
I can tell we need to talk about things, so I'll let you start. Yes, I'm listening. Oh, I understand that.